Hey, how are you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at the first look at the new Opel Mokka. This version is a BEV, a full electric version of the car. And then also being announced in the range is a diesel and petrol option. So there's something for everybody. But today we're going to have a specific look at the electric version because I think there's going to be a lot of interest in this sort of B segment car in EV versions. And Opel are really putting every effort into making this car interesting. I mean, just look at the colour of it, the two-tone. You don't have to get it in two-tone, but I think green and black looks nice. Will that age? I don't know, but at the moment, it looks really bright. Not screaming at you that it's an EV, but certainly the colour is saying, hey, I'm a bit different. So having a look at the front of the car, first of all, it's kind of got like this kind of stance of a shoulder, a strong shoulder line. They call it the visor. And this is one of the first new cars that will have that. You've got these really bright Lux headlights, a little bit of a Lux name thing here, but you can kind of see just how straight up that front is. And that's the bit that makes it very eye-catching. We got some two-tone 18-inch alloy wheels on this particular car. Line here that runs across, just breaks it up a bit. This is part of your black roof. Might be hard to see in the camera, but there's a little chrome bit here, but it's not an actual roof rail. And then the back's kind of squarish as well. These are kind of strong lines and good kind of shoulder creases down the side of the car and really give it a kind of a tall enough presence. Mokka is across the back. And yes, there is a little E there to tell everyone that it's the E version. Although looking at the colour, you'd think it's something different. Those daytime running lights, really bright. Like, the video does do it justice, but like they're so fine in terms of how they come across the top of the headlights. So what are we thinking? Do you like? If green's a bit too flash for you, then you've got this option too. All right, so when you start it up, you get a little Opel logo. Okay, I'll do that. Right, so it's now kicked into life. We've got 98% battery. And that is actually saying 300 kilometres with 98% battery. It is cold, but we're obviously indoors. So we'll check out more of that range when we go for a drive in a second. Nice graphics, nicely tilted towards the driver. I assume in a right-hand drive version of the car, it will be tilted towards the driver. But I like that. Some cars, first of all, for their market, if it's more predominantly left-hand drive, there'll be little things like the dashboard are curved towards, well, the passenger in our case in Ireland. Not so here. Standard Opel steering wheel that is in lots of their models. Again, that kind of, thinking of a petrol and a diesel version, very much it's business as usual, but also this just happens to be an EV. Got a bit of wireless charging going on down here. Climate control. Well, there are some physical buttons here. Fairly quick menu, touch screen as well. Oh, that's very fast. Oh yeah, no messing around there. Shortcuts to your nav and to your audio. Decent bits of detail then in the trim. Again, this car is well spec'd, so Alcantara and stuff in the door cards. Also decent cup holder space down here. There's the shifter for selecting drive. B for regen, your drive modes. They have got an Isofix seat in the front. Oh, I do like those leather seats as well. They're not going to be on the standard cars, but they're options and you can get them. Little perforations here that you should be able to make out. Again, bells and whistles version, so electric seats all here. So there's a good idea of the front layout. Charging port in the EV models here, and that is CCS charging, which you can do to 80% in 30 minutes at a fast charger. Some ways reminds me of the Astra from like 08, kind of the way the boot comes down, but it certainly sits a lot higher. The release for the boot is under here, so you pop that and then you lift from there. That's our Type 2 cable there in the boot. It's definitely smaller than a typical hatchback size boot if I was describing it to you. We have a light, we have a hook, we have extra storage under here. Not a right angle for that rear door at all. I do think now for child seats, the bigger ones, they'll go in, but just getting the bigger Isofix ones in might be a bit of an upside down, turn it around, try and get it in there kind of thing. So space there is not bad at all if the passenger seat isn't all the way back. My feet have kind of disappeared under there. It's still alright though. I mean, like, I still have a bit of room. Still okay. There's a bit of a curve in the back of that driver's seat, which, you know, helps with the rear leg room. Because it's also an ICE model, you have a hump in the floor. And down here we have 2 USB charging options, so everyone can be happy in the back. There's also no armrest. Okay, so initial thoughts, just looking around the car on the inside and just the quality of the materials on it, it feels very high quality. The dash in particular is Opel at their best, and I've looked at quite a few of the range over the last couple of years from them, and it is absolutely up there. You don't feel like there's been sacrifices in the materials used to put the cost of the battery into the car. So that's my first initial thought of it. The petrol version of it is going to cost from under €24,000. This car in general will be on sale from April, and the after grant price of the electric version of the Mokka-e is €33,000. And I also would not be surprised if Opel announce when this car goes on sale that they'll do things like they've done with the Corsa E, such as giving you a free home charger at home if you buy one. Little Birdie has given me a fairly good impression that that will happen. So the range in terms of brake horsepower, what it's like to drive, what it's like on the road, motorway speeds, I'm going to jump in, take it for a spin and check all that out. First time you have to use the little shifter for the gears, that'll kind of catch you out. So we're just starting to pull away in drive mode, leaving with 96% battery. It is 4 degrees outside and we have 294 kilometers in the tank or battery. It's kind of get weird to get your head around those things. One thing that's very interesting, go to opel.ie because they have a simulator and you can put in how fast you're going, what your battery is, what outside temperature it is, and it will give you an estimate as to what usage you'd be doing. So if it was like -5 degrees and you're driving on a motorway at 120 kilometers an hour for a sustained period, it would be under 200 kilometers on a full charge. Yet on a warm day, different driving conditions, it'd be a lot higher than that. You'd be a lot closer to 300. So look, there's real world figures, and that's hopefully what videos like this will help you kind of work out what the car is going to be like in terms of real world, but that's what I'm getting at the moment is 294. Now we will bring it onto the motorway and kind of get a better feel for that in a couple of minutes. So some facts while we're chatting here. It will do 80% charging using up to 100 kilowatt charging in 80%. This version is basically 136 brake horsepower equivalent, so there's plenty of power in the electric version of it. Putting the foot down and yeah, takes off nicely. Not earth-shattering, but nicely. What really strikes me most with this car is how good the finish of it is, and that probably is down to, in part, the fact that you can get this car in diesel and petrol as well. So yeah, when you have a standalone electric vehicle, sometimes the quality suffers because the cost of producing the car has been so great. But when this is already on the roads in different fuel forms, it results in a better overall finish. Love the visibility. There's plenty of room. You know, your A-pillars aren't protruding unnecessarily. They're chunky enough, but they're okay. It's very quiet. I know Opel have spoken about the insulation and the sound deadening that they've put into this car. It's evident. Yeah, like it's really, really quiet. I'm really impressed with this car. I don't really know what I expected, to be honest with you. It wasn't like I expected anything bad or anything, but it's better than I expected it to be. I'm like, this is impressive. It's really quiet, feels solid. The interior is really nicely put together. Obviously it's 10 grand, give or take, dearer than a petrol version. That's something you're going to have to use your man or woman calculator, do some man or woman maths and see if, you know, the car is for you. That happens a lot in cars because they're like desirable purchases, and we know, well, we don't really need that, but I want the extra leather seats. These are very nice leather seats. They're also heated. So lash them on. Does that make any difference to your range? It doesn't. I'm going to put the auto on for the climate control and just see, has that made any difference? So far it hasn't. Okay, so we've dropped to 292 from 294, but it's nothing really significant. Just changing lane here on a 100 km/h stretch, so I'm now doing that. There's another Opel. Hello, cousin. Petrol version, I'd say. So now we're on the motorway. Heated steering wheel is here as well. We have radar guided cruise control. My trousers are getting quite warm. That's to do with the heated seating. Not that I like the car that much. Lane keep is firm. Got all sorts of displays here showing me the speed limit we're doing, the current one we're in. Back into the inside lane. This is actually how you drive in a motorway in Ireland. I know some people can't figure it out. Drive on the left. Now, charging this car at home, it's going to be probably 10 hours to get to 100%. To give or if you can get an 11 kilowatt charger, you're laughing. You'll do that in 5 hours to full. But leaving it at home with a charger, you don't really worry about those they're kind of irrelevant because, again, if you get home at 7 in the evening and you don't leave again until 7 in the morning, you haven't even thought about it. You've been asleep. I'm like this now. This is proper motorway speeds, and this thing is absolutely solid. There's very little wind noise over the pillars. This is one of the quietest EVs I've ever driven, and I'm including Tesla in that. If you're someone who likes a peaceful drive, then this car could be the EV for you. And then if you're interested in this car in a petrol or diesel version, it's still this car. It's just Saudi Arabia's finest as opposed to wherever we get our electricity from. We probably sold that off as well. So this would be a perfect car. Probably not for small kids if you're in a family, because the boot isn't going to take the biggest type of buggies. The doors aren't necessarily going to open for the biggest type of car seats. But if you've got kids that are past that sort of 3-year age seat and don't need the buggy anymore and stuff like that, then this is the type of car, B segment, that will absolutely suit your needs. It's amazing how many people will just nearly pull out in front of you. Like, it's a green and a black car. How can you not see me? Okay, you can feel the weight now of it a bit in the steering there as I'm going through that roundabout. Just a little bit. I was probably going a little bit too fast. So we have used 6 kilometers, 8 kilometers since I left where I left. It's definitely further than 8 kilometers for that, and that was on motorway. Okay, I have one problem. Seeing over that C-pillar, it's fairly wide. I've no doubt the German Autobahn was somewhere that this car was not necessarily designed for, but you can see it absolutely living very comfortably there. Yeah, that's alright, you're just driving the wrong side of the road around the bend. Don't worry about me. Okay, you can get a little bit of wheel spin now on slightly wet, slippy conditions. It's we're heading for the Dublin Mountains here, and it is dipping. It's 2 degrees now. So if you were doing more rural driving in an EV, because people do ask, you know, what about me? I don't live in a city, and well, first of all, you'd probably get a charger. Buy this car when it goes on sale in April, you're going to get a free charger. Let's call a spade a spade. And it is dropping now. We're at 278 kilometers, and we're going really uphill now. These are proper hills. It's got a lane assist function if you activate cruise control. I just see the button here. Interesting. It's actually remarkable. I don't want to overstate it. Like, it's such a quiet car. I'm curious, are the petrol and diesel versions this well insulated, or is it just because they know you're going to hear more in an EV? But Jesus, like, it's quiet. Now this is a bend that always catches me out, particularly in a rear-wheel drive car. It can kick This obviously isn't one, but still a tight bend. Lovely snow up here. Well, look, we call it snow by Irish standards, but if you're watching somewhere where you actually get snow, don't laugh. It's pretty though. So now we've dropped to 266. Understandable, this is a serious incline. For those of you that know it, it's the Dublin Mountains up towards Viewpoint, past the Hellfire Club. And it's also freezing, it's 1 degree now. So yeah, it's kind of as you'd expect. Go up hills, range will reduce because it's an EV, and that's what they'll all do. And on the motorway, it was pretty sustained. I know it was only the start of a journey, but it covered decent enough area. So in summary, should you buy this car when it goes on sale, if you're looking for an EV, you'll absolutely have to look at it. It'll do, you know, realistically you're probably talking 260, 270 out of charge, one journey. No one really does that kind of journey on a typical day. You'll have a charger at home, and it hasn't been compromised in the finish of it whatsoever due to the fact that it's an EV, and that makes it a very interesting option. Now look, there are other cars that you can get for the same money, electric cars that is. It's all about what suits people's lifestyle. Some people might want kind of an EV that looks more like a hatch. They might want this sort of small crossover B-segment vehicle. And if that's what you are looking for, then you'll have to give this a serious look. Ways to support the channel are below. Thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe. That's the free way of supporting the channel. Leave a comment or a question or give the video a like. All those good things that I would really appreciate. And I will see you very soon. Thank you for looking at this first look video of the all new Opel Mokka.